PLC Network here with another unboxing, this time coming from the company Dreo. And this is the Dreo ChefMaker Combi Fryer. It is a smart air fryer that offers a number of functions, including some really neat features. That when it's cooking, it gives you a perfect cook every time, as well as complete app integration where you can control and monitor everything from your app. Really changing what air fryers are capable of. And of course, like most air fryers, it does offer multiple functions, including air frying, baking, roasting, dehydrating, allowing you to do pretty much anything. I mean, there's going to be some limitations in there somewhere based on mostly the size of the bin itself, which is 6 liters. So it's whatever you can fit into 6 liters safely, where it's able to access all surfaces of the food to cook it appropriately. But what allows it to be able to perform all the functions that it has is it has a built-in cook probe, for one, which you slide into the meat and allows this to be able to monitor the internal temperature of the food that's in there, such as chicken, steak, or whatever else you're cooking. As mentioned, it has app control, but it also has a touchscreen on the front as well, so you can control many of the functions right off of the unit itself without having to break out your phone. But if you do make use of the app, you're able to dig down even deeper, as well as monitor it from, let's say, another room in your house to see how it looks. So that way it doesn't, overcook as you walk away unexpectedly because maybe you hit the wrong setting. Using its smart features, it's able to auto-adjust cooking temperature, airflow, cooking stages, again, allowing you to get the perfect cook every time. Now, we've actually used one of these, or at least experienced the use of one of these at CES last year, as well as this year as well, where Dreo was demonstrating the capabilities of this air fryer by cooking steaks. And I have to tell you, they tasted good. They also look good too. So its ability to auto-adjust everything it needs to be able to get the perfect cook is pretty solid, once you get the hang of all of the settings and capabilities of what this has to offer. Of which it does offer 3 modes. You have Chef Mode, which is pretty much just a set of presets for cooking, as well as Classic Mode for quick meals, and Probe Mode for full temperature control of the meat that's inside. So you have multiple different options to select through. So if you're just looking to do a quick cook really quick, throw something in there like, let's say, frozen potatoes or mozzarella sticks or something, you just want a classic cook, you know how long it's gonna take, just set time, temperature, walk away. You have that option. You also have the option of using the certain presets. So you can say you have a specific food item in there that it supports, and it'll just automatically cook it, assuming that it fits the description of what you selected, and it'll attempt to cook it to its best ability based on that preset. And then you have Probe Mode, which again, involves the probe, so it can specifically and accurately detect the temperature, the internal temperature of the meat, because meat is what you're going to be using it on, to determine exactly when it's reaching the temperature that you're looking for. So if you're cooking, let's say, a medium rare steak, and you want it to reach 135 degrees for that medium rare steak, that it uses that probe to be able to accurately detect when that steak is getting ready to be finished, since you want it to come out a little bit early because it's continuing to cook as you're taking it out. So you want to be able to time it out from cooker to plate just right, so that way you're not overcooking it beyond medium rare, etc. It's capable of up to 1,800 watts of power, which means this has everything it needs power-wise to be able to cook whatever you put into this. And also something to also keep in mind, that when you're working with something like this, you want to minimize other things that are on your kitchen circuit so that you're not pulling too much and tripping breakers. So definitely when you're making use of this machine, do not run another air fryer or anything else on that same circuit, like a blender or anything else. You will probably trip your breakers, so just keep that in mind, that when you're using this, just use this and likely whatever else that's on its own isolated breaker, such as your microwave or oven, usually. Most homes are usually wired that way. Like many of these, it does offer a non-stick interior, which makes it a lot easier to clean, as well as dishwasher safe parts, which is always good to hear because a lot of these contain parts that you do not want to have submerged or anything, including some of these air fryers where you take, the whole tray is just one piece, and the only way to clean it is incredibly careful because it tells you not to get water in certain areas and or submerge it in any way, so you can't exactly just run it under the sink sometimes. It's going to be less of a concern in this case since it has dishwasher safe parts. Now, since this is a smart air fryer, it does have a little bit higher price tag than what you might be used to. A lot of air fryers might be sub 100 or somewhere between 100 and 200 if you're going with something like a product from Ninja, we'll say. But This is a smart product. It offers a lot more features. There's a lot more going on. So of course you're going to have to expect a little bit higher of a price point. So because of that, this does contain an MSRP of $359, which seems pretty fitting for what it's capable of. But even more fitting when you consider the fact that right now it's on sale. So at the time of publishing this, the price tag of this was only $239 on Amazon. We'll make sure to provide a link for that. And hopefully that doesn't change much, allowing you to find a good deal on this if you want to get your hands on one. That being said, this is the first generation of the ChefMaker Combi Fryer. There is another one that's coming later in this year that we got to get a little brief peek at CES this year. It wasn't operating just yet because they're still making some final tweaks, but it should be launching sometime this year. We'll also make sure to provide a link to that video in the description so you can take a look at some of the other products that Dreo had to offer this year at the show. So now that the introduction and all that discussion is finished, we're going to break this thing open. We're going to see what it looks like. What does it come with? And then we're going to take a moment later on and we're going to put this through its various tests, and we'll publish everything we think about it in our full review at POCnetwork.net. But for now, it's just an unboxing so you can see what it looks like and what it comes with. So let's go ahead and start with that. And the first thing you're introduced to at the top is just a quick start guide. Nice big guide that gives you, actually a couple guides here, that gives you an idea of what it's capable of. They do fold up, so that way you can store it easily in your kitchen. It just has some typical sections in here like meet your new chef maker, tips for the chef maker modes, get the latest recipes and updates, cleaning tips, and so forth, as well as a link to get the Dreo app that's necessary to use some of the smart functions. This one here is a continuation of that. You got probe mode, classic mode, chef mode, and gives you a nice rundown of what all of these modes do with pictures and charts. So it really helps you get off the ground quickly in terms of learning how to use this, because obviously this, again, has a lot more features than your typical air fryer, so you're going to want to learn how to use it. So nice quick guide to get you started is always helpful instead of having to read through a complex manual. Speaking of a manual, this is the manual right here, which I must tell you does not look complex at all. This is a pretty simple manual. So moving further into the box, we have a Dreo ChefMaker probe. And this is just the probe attachment that's going to be used for it to monitor the internal temperatures of meat. You have your cooking tray right here on top. So looks like it's just a nice aluminum cooking tray with some rubber feet here to give it some spacing from the bottom. It'll give it some lift so that everything can get, as it's cooking, it can get to the underside of everything, and also provide, you know, some drip action there to get some of that grease out. And then you have the actual unit itself. They have everything neatly wrapped in foam here to protect it from scratches during shipment. And this is what the Combi air fryer looks like. And you got a little bit of protective covers here. You have how to use the water tank. So use the water tank only when shown in your recipe. So this is obviously going to be for when you need to keep whatever you're cooking moist. You're going to have a water tank here. You just fill it up with water, and then you pop it back into place. There's a little rubber hose there, or a little port that it connects to. Put the cover on there, and you're ready to go. So there's going to be a lot of recipes where you need to keep your contents moist, so that way it doesn't dry out while you're cooking. Also depends on what cooking mode you're in or anything else that might require using water during the cooking process. So that's always neat to have something like this. So you can see right here, you have all your touchscreen right here. It's covered by a nice protective little thing you have to peel off, you know, to keep it from scratches and stuff again before use. But you have a touch control, or just a display here, and a series of touch controls for turning it on and off. You got your lights, you got up and down, as well as a back button and play pause, which is going to be what you're going to use to start your cooking process. And then you have the tray, which is a nice, robust filling tray there. It's going to have some more accessories on the inside. And here you have another tray, this time a nice metal tray for inserting in here. Again, this is going to give you some raised, or it's going to raise your food up so that way all that air and everything else can get underneath it while it's cooking, and as well as providing a drip action or solution for some drip action there, so that way you can get all that, the grease and oil away from what you're cooking, so it's a little bit healthier and less, well, greasy. But really, that's it. I mean, it's an air fryer. You know, it's just smart. And that means that it's going to look like an air fryer. It comes with a lot of things you typically find with an air fryer, plus a little, I look at this and this just feels like a little bit more than what you typically find with a lot of these models, especially the sub $100 models that usually don't come with things like this. You just get a tub, you know, to throw everything into, and you just pray and hit the go button to cook your food. But this is a little bit more involved. You got a few accessories here, but what really makes it special is that touch screen. That touchscreen is what gives you all of the features that it has to offer, as well as your app to be able to control what you're cooking, how you're cooking it, which mode you're in, and of course, usage of the probe, which it plugs into the tray there. So when you slide the tray or the bin into the machine, you have two contact points that are right here that make contact with your two pins right here. So it's able to read the data coming from the probe and integrate that into its cooking process. So there you have it. This is the Dreo ChefMaker Combi Fryo with plenty of features. You got a couple accessories here for your trays, as well as the cooking probe. You have the water tray or the bin here at the top, so that way you can include water in the cooking process, and everything else is within the touchscreen or the app for controlling how everything works. And like I said, we made use of this, or at least we watched them make use of it at CES last year and this year, so that might mean that we're going into this with a little bit bias, because we already have some expectations based on our own experiences from the show. But of course, we are going to put this through many other challenges as we test it out to determine what we like about it, what we don't like about that, or anything we might not like about it. And we'll include all of that in our review at POCnetwork.net. And again, we'll have all of that information in the description below so you can follow along, including links to things such as that previous interview that we had this year for some of the products coming out from Dreo, including their new next generation of the ChefMaker that's coming out this year, as well as some of their other products, and you can get some visuals of some of those steaks that they cooked that were so darn delicious. So as always, if you liked what you've seen here, don't forget to subscribe and follow us, and also tick that like button so we know that you like this specific video, and also make use of the comment section below in case you have any questions, comments, or anything else for us, for each other, or even the manufacturer in case they are watching. And as always, we thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time. If you want to stay on top of all the latest and greatest, and or at least the gadgets we cover, remember to subscribe right here. Subscription button. Click it. You're going to want to. There's lots of videos, interviews, previews, all sorts of stuff. Button. Click it.